Hello, Maya.
Hi there.
There are no reported coyote sightings in Spring Valley.
Well, that's going to be the determinant factor is who wins the coyote vote. Okay, as long as I'm not moderating a debate about sidewalks in Bel Air, I think we're good. For any of the ladies who live in Bel Air, I think we all know that is, us as a TV station has not yet tackled that question, but although it seems to be the most pressing issue. That's not one of the, oh yeah, I should ask you guys what your, no, view of the, because that is in precinct, is that in precinct 3, Bel Air?
Sure.
Well.
Yes, it is.
Okay, get ready. Get ready for the sidewalk question.
Up to the voters of Bel Air. So y'all gonna go through what, with 1 minute opening, all that kind of stuff, after we start? Okay, good.
Maya, you've got the script of the questions that were sort of
Yes.
So you'll have the 2-minute opening statements, and then you'll go on to questions and.
Only the hard questions.
Yeah, should be. We're gonna try to.
Maya, you are on TV right now. Like actual on the news right now.
I am?
You're amazing in 2 places at once.
Yes, I just got a phone call. We were like, oh, is she still going to be doing the debate? I see her on TV. I'm like, oh, must be something already filmed. She's here with us.
Oh.
Be packaged.
Yeah, well, we are at 12:02, so I think, Juliet, whenever you want to get started, that's just fine.
Okay, so so are there enough people you think we should just go ahead and launch?
I think that's fine, and then more people can keep getting on. Yes.
Okay.
Recording it as well.
Okay. So, good afternoon. I am Dr. Juliet Breeze. We are very excited to welcome you to the Greater Houston Women's Chamber of Commerce Commissioner Debate. I am filling in for our fearless leader, CEO Susan Dyson. And she is actually out of town. Otherwise, she would have loved to be here and to meet the candidates. We're going to be recording today's debate and posting it on our website so everyone has another opportunity to hear our candidates' priorities. As you know, women have the majority voting bloc in Harris County, so we have an obligation to educate our members on the issues that our elected officials support and stand for. And as female voters, we're celebrating the 100th anniversary of the 19th Amendment, giving women the right to vote. We should honor the women who came before us and vote. Early voting is now open. Getting the vote was an incredible victory, and that really made it possible for women to become familiar faces in the election process. It transformed the way society views women. And now with the advantage of social media, a single woman's voice is louder than ever. We can and are influencing the world, and they're watching. So we would like to begin this debate today with a big thank you to Centerpoint Energy and Elizabeth Brock for sponsoring the debate. Centerpoint's commitment to the community is evidenced by their generous support of events like this one today. I'd also really like to recognize and thank our board members who will be joining the debate audience today. They are Dana Curvin, the Art Group, Lisa Holland Nelson, Astounds, Susan Osterberg, University of Houston, and our ex officio board member, Karen Marshall from Metro. Before we begin, let's watch this quick video about the GHWCC's program of work. You'll see why we continue to be the fastest growing women's chamber in the country.
The Greater Houston Women's Chamber of Commerce is proud of the work we do for the advancement and empowerment of women. We are the fastest growing women's chamber in America because of the support and contributions of our sponsors and members. With your generosity, we can carry out our mission of advancing and empowering women and girls through the avenues of leadership, education, advocacy, and providing resources for women and girls to succeed. Our current program of work takes the GHWCC to a new level, supporting businesswomen and the next generation of leaders here and around the world. Programs like Women on Board, encouraging corporations to recruit qualified women to serve on their boards, and providing tools for women to be board ready. Steamtown USA, increasing the exposure of at-risk third-grade girls to science, technology, engineering, arts, and math concepts to encourage them to pursue STEAM careers. We have graduated over 1,800 students since the program's inception. Our GHWCC Launch Institute and Launch Fund serve as catalysts to enable women entrepreneurs to start or take their business to the next level through organization, innovation, and engagement by introducing resources that provide tools, access to capital, and valuable business relationships. The Women's Health Network of the Texas Medical Center, serving as a platform engaging dynamic executive women to build relationships, generate provocative ideas, thoughts, and solutions to impact the future of healthcare. The Governmental Affairs Committee, providing the voice for businesswomen with our legislators, as women have the majority voting bloc in Harris, Montgomery, and Fort Bend counties. We provide scholarships, job shadowing, and mentoring opportunities through our Love What You Do program to deserving young women graduating from 6 Houston area school districts and MBA students attending Rice and the University of Houston. With more than 1,200 member businesses, the GHWCC is the voice for Houston and the region's businesswomen. Why join? Members who are active expand their spheres of influence, enhance their leadership skills, and grow their business while supporting the power of diversity in the workplace. We've influenced business leaders as far away as London and Madrid to start women's chambers in their own cities. The program of work of the Greater Houston Women's Chamber of Commerce would not exist without our generous sponsors and members.
That's it.
Now, with your applause, please help me thank our governmental committee chair, Whitney Whitmire of Whitney Whitmire Consulting, for leading our legislative efforts all year. Thank you, Whitney. We encourage you to subscribe to our bi-weekly newsletter, The Connection, to stay informed about our programs, members, and events. You can sign up on our website, ghwcc.org. And please mark your calendars for one of our premier events, the Greater Houston Women's Hall of Fame Gala on December 3rd. And hopefully you can see that nice screenshot of our gala. That's great. The gala is set to be live streamed on Thursday, December 3rd on Zoom. We will induct 14 deserving women into the Greater Houston Women's Hall of Fame and honor an icon, Hallie Vanderhyder. Their emotional tributes will inspire and empower you. The inductees have spent their lives giving back so that our generation and the next generation have a better quality of life. You really don't want to miss it. Before we introduce our moderator, we invite you to engage in our program of work. We would love to have your leadership on a committee. Leaders in the GHWCC are women, men, and girls of all ages, representing all industries, from our 3rd grade Steamtown USA students to our entrepreneurial and C-suite women. We provide all the tools and resources everyone needs to be successful. And probably most important, we provide opportunities to build valuable business relationships. Now, I am thrilled to introduce our distinguished moderator, Miya Shay. Miya is an Emmy award-winning journalist at KTRK TV Channel 13, ABC. Currently, Miya's focus is covering Houston city government as well as breaking news stories of the day. Her memorable assignments include covering the 2008 presidential election, traveling to Brazil, Korea, and Japan. Away from work, Miya is heavily involved in the Houston community. In 2012, she married State Representative Jean Wu. In 2013, they welcomed their first child, Winston, and little brother Lyndon joined the family in 2016. Miya's dog Mei Ling rounds out the crew. Miya's other passions include traveling to new places, trying new foods, and scuba diving. Please welcome Miya Shay.
Thank you so much, and it's a pleasure to join these wonderful, smart, talented, engaged women throughout the greater Houston area for a very important issue. You know, personally, I am a resident of Precinct 3, so I will be very interested to hear what these candidates have to say to some of the best and brightest minds in the greater Houston area. The debate's about half an hour. We're not on national TV, so it's not we don't have to be super, super tight one way or the other, but we do want to provide really valuable information. And our candidates will start with a 1-minute opening statement, and then we'll be asking some predetermined questions by the wonderful crew who have determined some of these issues that are important for the folks in Precinct 3. Now, the answers each candidate will have about 2 minutes to answer, and each person will have an opportunity to say so. Our two candidates are Tom Ramsey and Michael Moore. I want to say that I know both of them. They're nice guys, well qualified, and I think a lot of the other journalists who have covered the race have said that this is one of those local races that's important, affects a lot of Houstonians and Harris County residents, but it's also one of those places where voters are very lucky. They have two qualified candidates who are eager to make a difference in the precinct. So we actually have a wealth of knowledge, information, and we hope that today's debate will help everyone get more informed. So we'll start with 1-minute opening statements from each candidate in no particular order. We'll call on Tom Ramsey. Good afternoon. Hey there, Tom.
Good afternoon. Thank you, Miya. It's a great introduction. It's great to be with the Greater Houston Women's Chamber. I look forward to working and talking about the issues. Also look forward to getting in some of the details. Thank you, Elizabeth Brock, for your sponsorship. Let me just say from the outset that as an owner of a business for the last 25 years plus, I worked with many different women within our company. I was fortunate to be able to put them in great leadership positions. We were also able to partner with many consultants like Nathan Kennedy, Sheila Condon, and many, many others. One particular relationship was with the Clifford Group, and Cindy Clifford provided stellar business advice to us through the years. So this is an example, I believe, of how I will approach my Harris County Commissioner position. It will be to advance leadership within the context of Harris County, to look for opportunities for women-owned businesses to participate with the county. I look forward to discussing the issues and the priorities and why I should be your next Harris County Commissioner, Precinct 3.
Thank you so much. We now go to Michael Moore. Hey there, Michael. Michael, you're on mute.
There you go.
There you go.
Thank you, Miya. Thank you, Women's Chamber, for hosting this. Really appreciate it. I am a lifelong resident. I grew up in Precinct 3. My wife grew up in Precinct 3. We're raising our two girls here, Mary Helen and Margaret. I want them to have the opportunity like y'all are having, like y'all have in business. My wife is a licensed clinical social worker for the DeBakey VA Hospital. I'm very proud of what she does, helping vets transition out of the hospital. I'm the former chief of staff to Mayor Bill White. When the entire time he was mayor, I helped run the 4th largest city in the country with a $2 billion budget and 20,000 employees. We believed in diversity. I'll talk a lot about that as we go along, but I'm so happy to be here. Thank y'all for hosting this.
Great, thank you so much, Michael. And just to start us off, since we're alternating going who goes first on each question, we'll go back to you, Michael. If you can give us some of your qualifications, tell us why you're qualified to be the next commissioner for Precinct 3, and you have about 2 minutes.
Great, thank you. Well, like I said, I was Bill White's chief of staff during the entire time he was mayor. I help run the 4th largest city in the country. There is no city manager of the city of Houston. The mayor and his team actually run it. Over a $2 billion budget, over 20,000 employees, 19 odd departments. I was the mayor's point person for Hurricanes Katrina, Rita, and Ike. We face challenges on a weekly and daily basis, including the economic downturn of 2007 and 2009. And we managed it without cutting city services. As a presidential appointee to the Department of Energy, I worked in the energy corridor for BP America, and I was a regional vice president for Texas Central Rail, which are building the high-speed train from Houston to Dallas, and I believe that's going to get started next year. We also believed in diversity and inclusion it is in my blood. We believed in it when at the City of Houston. I was part of a team, the mayor's team at the City of Houston, the senior staff, majority of them were minority and women senior staff. And the department directors, over 60% were minority and women department directors. 35% of the overall department directors were women directors. So we believe in diversity. The county does not have a good record on diversity when it comes to hiring women-owned businesses, and that'll change if I get elected county commissioner. So I've got the experience. I've been endorsed by former Mayor Bill White, Anise Parker, Congresswoman Sylvia Garcia, Commissioner Agent Garcia, many others, Councilmember Sally Alcorn, Abby Kamen, Planned Parenthood, and many others. And I look forward to the next question. Thank you, Maya.
Thank you, Michael. Now, Tom, please tell us why you're the most qualified and what are some of the qualities that make you ideal to be the next commissioner in Precinct 3?
Let me just say I've been married for 48 years, and my family all live in the West Houston area. And 5 of my 7 grandchildren are young ladies, and I am certainly an advocate for those issues. The first thing I'll point out in terms of my credentials, for 42 years, I've served as a consulting engineer, civil engineer, designing roads and bridges and water systems and dealing with flooding issues. Burnham Wood is one of the projects, an award-winning project on sustainability. Also have Willow Waterhole, which is a significant detention facility right here in Precinct 3. But in addition to being an engineer, I also owned a business, as I said earlier, for 25 years. Made payroll, kept people working, hired, and grew a business from 20 to 150. I think that's real important as we go into and as we come out of COVID. The other thing is I served as mayor of Spring Valley for 8 years. And during that period, I reduced the tax rate 21% in light of rising appraisals. I led in the police department and providing resources, and they were named the safest city in Harris County, and also invested in infrastructure, and to the point of $40 million, and no one flooded in Hurricane Harvey. So I think that diverse experience, and as the Houston Chronicle endorsed me on Monday, they said he brings a certain pragmatic, practical approach, and I look forward to doing that, and I look forward to bringing many, many opportunities for our women, not only in leadership, but in businesses, as I have done for the last 25 years. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Tom. And on the issue of flooding, that's the first issue question we have. As many people know, of course, survived Harvey, our whole community was impacted. So flooding for West Houston, especially on top of mind. And those concerns, if you will, range from the folks who were flooded upstream, downstream, those types of things, but also people in the Spring Branch on the I-10 corridor who are really concerned about flooding caused by development and increased buildings and retention. So how will you address this sort of these variety of flooding concerns that really takes different ways of mitigation for results? Tom, we'll start with you. You have 2 minutes.
Great question, Maya. The issue of flooding, we're going to start with the 2018 bond issue, which we passed. That's 181 projects that are identified. That'll include $2.5 billion worth of bond money. We've been able to leverage that with state and federal money and get it up to 4.9. So that's $4.9 billion worth of projects to be done in the 22 watersheds. I don't think it's being pushed nearly hard enough. I think we need to be given that high priority and going into the neighborhoods and seeing what we can do to get those started. So we need to push those projects out quickly. The other thing I would tell you is currently there's a Buffalo Bayou resiliency study done by the Corps of Engineers. And it's a long one and you can comment on it, got many issues with it. But I can tell you that one of the issues identified is what can we do with Addicks and Barker? And I would simply tell you this, I'm gonna advocate to dig out Addicks and Barker, because every bucket of dirt I take out of Addicks and Barker, that's a bucket of dirt, water that's not gonna be in somebody's home downstream. And the third thing I would do is focus on the neighborhoods. That is so important. Sometimes we get on these big tunnel projects and doing third reservoirs and these $1 billion, but you know what? If you go into these neighborhoods by neighborhoods like I've been doing for the last 25 years, you can solve a lot of problems. I've met with 3 neighborhoods just in the past 2 weeks. We had very specific conversations on what we can do. I will not be a generic leader when it comes to these issues. Because of my experience, because of my background, we're going to specifically solve drainage issues in the neighborhoods in Spring Branch and Katy, up and down Memorial, along Buffalo Bayou. I look forward to being given that opportunity.
Thank you so much, Tom. Michael, the same question to you, and specifically, I think people who live in different parts of Precinct 3 have differing concerns about how flooding impacts them. So go ahead.
Like Tom said, we got these $4.5 billion in flood bond money, state and federal dollars. We need to get those in the ground as quickly as possible. They're basically fixing an old system that has been neglected for decades. The Harris County Flood Control District, when it started in the 1940s up till this time, basically spent $2 billion from the 1940s to Harvey. We're now spending over $4.5 billion. It was neglected for decades. We've underfunded the flood control district. We have to stop doing that. So we need to get those projects in the ground as quickly as possible. And I'm the only candidate here that says we're going to have to do another bond as soon as this one's done. Even Judge Emmett said when they passed a $2.5 billion bond that this wasn't going to be enough. So I'm dedicated to making that happen. When we do that, we need more nature-based infrastructure. We need to save what's left. I have a good plan on my website about saving what's left of the Katy Prairie west of the Grand Parkway. They've got about 10,000 acres under management. We need to double that. We can't keep doing the same things we've been doing. We've been trying to control water. We can't control water. We need to learn how to manage it. The Corps of Engineers, go look at that study. It's basically a popularity study. They need to extend the time to respond to it. I'm very disappointed in the Corps of Engineers. I can go into more of that later, but ultimately we need a new bond. We're going to be working on this issue for decades. If we don't get it right, it's going to hurt the economic outcome of our entire region, all our businesses and jobs. I'm also proud to have the endorsement of Jim Blackburn, one of the leading flood control experts in our region at Rice University. So we need to fix flood control. If we don't do it, it's going to cause major, major problems in the future.
Thank you, Michael. And you get the next question to start with. Flooding, besides that, there is a question about the economy. So many people have been affected by COVID and the ramifications, especially our small businesses that are spread out throughout Spring in Precinct 3. What are your plans to keep businesses in the area and bring jobs back, including improving traffic flow and road conditions? Sometimes we see a lot of construction, which might be a good thing, but that also keeps people from visiting a lot of small businesses on the west side. I've seen a lot of posts about that on Facebook over the years. Michael, you have about 2 minutes.
First, we need to keep control of the virus, and as we build the economy, we need to stay safe. We need to follow all the guidelines. We need to wear masks wherever we can. We need to be respectful of others. But we need to if we let it get back out of control and we have to shut down again, it's not going to be good for the economy. So we have to stay focused on this. We need to support our small businesses. I think the county needs to do everything we can to expand the recovery grants, the CARES grants. We need to get those construction projects in the ground as quickly as possible. We'll put more money into the economy, those infrastructure projects. We need to hold on raising taxes. We should not raise taxes during a downturn. And on traffic, we need to do everything we can to increase transit in our county and our region. I support the metro. I support the metro bond election and increasing bus rapid transit, getting more people where they need to go. We need to get those projects in the ground as quickly as possible. When I was at the city of Houston, I helped implement SafeClear, which takes it's now called Tow and Go. Took 38,000 cars off the road last year. Also, if I'm county commissioner, I'll implement a traffic hotspots team that actually goes through Precinct 3 and look at these hotspots. A lot of these intersections were built in the 1960s, 70s, and 80s. They have not been updated. They're built for a different era. We need to go back and look at those hotspots, work with the city of Houston, work with Metro to refix those, redesign those intersections so that traffic can flow. A lot more on this later. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, Tom, same question about creating business opportunities, bringing jobs to our region and, of course, our neighborhoods.
Let me start with the transportation and the traffic. What happened 2-3 weeks ago at Commissioner's Court, where they set up a local government corporation to divert money away from infrastructure and into other issues, is just wrong. And we need to say it's wrong, because one way to solve transportation and traffic issues, you got to have dollars. You got to have a commitment. And what happened with the $3 billion in assets that the Harris County Toll Road Authority has, that's a problem. We need to go back and address that, fix that if we can. Now, businesses opening up. You remember earlier I said $4.9 billion in construction is sitting there waiting to be done. For every $1 billion worth of construction, that's 21,700 jobs. That's over 100,000 jobs that we can get right away, right now, coming out of COVID. It's so important that we get people to work. In fact, I was talking 2 weeks ago with Dakin. They've got over 1,000 job opportunities right now for people to come out there and apply in terms of getting folks to work. I also met with Pastor Lewis at the Macedonia Baptist Church, and I think we connect a lot of our community groups. He knows people that need jobs. We have jobs both in the construction industry, and you look at women-owned businesses that need to get back up and going. This is how you do it. You put opportunities out there, and infrastructure is such a great way to solve two things at the same time, both get our economy moving and address critical issues related to transportation, related to flooding.
Thank you so much, Tom. And then we're going to, of course, start with you on the next question. And that is, Harris County is undergoing a feasibility study to launch an economic equity and opportunity department to support small women-owned businesses and minority-owned businesses. Women-owned businesses were more adversely affected because of COVID-19. What can the county do to help women-owned businesses? And if you can be specific about some ideas you like and you don't like, that would be great. And also, I just want to, before you start, let anybody who's on Zoom know that you can go to the chat box and drop your questions. If you have any questions you would like answered, you might want to type that up so we can make sure we ask the candidates here toward the end of this conversation. Tom, go ahead. You have about 2 minutes.
I'm going to build off of what we've talked about before. It is important as we open our businesses back up that we treat businesses in an equitable way, that we understand, like I've done the last 25 years of my own business, partnered with many women-owned businesses. We need to look for those opportunities. So I would tell you the Harris County is going to be open for women-owned businesses going forward. It's important that we do that not only in our infrastructure and our construction, but all the areas that we influence. We also need to partner with our regional cities. I was president of the Harris County Mayor Council Association, which is 33 cities not named Houston, in addition to Houston, but the Katy and the Humble and the Bel Air and the West U, they all are great partners that we can work with in the county to be sure that we get the right kind of opportunities available in terms of not only our businesses, but leadership related to our women. As the Houston Chronicle mentioned, I will take a very pragmatic approach. It needs to be fair. You need to have great input. I would surround myself with people that understand the business community and be able to give great insight in terms of what we will do going forward as we come out of COVID and as we deal with those issues. Let me just say that we need to do a better job of communicating with businesses coming out of COVID than we did going into shutdown. So coming out of shutdown is so important. I trust our businesses to do this safely per CDC guidelines, but it's important that we communicate. And early on, the communication was probably not as well as it could be. It needs to be much better coming out of it.
Michael, the same question to you about Harris County undergoing an economic feasibility study to launch an economic equity opportunity department for small women-owned and minority-owned businesses. What will you do as far as helping support those efforts? What has worked that you've seen? What would you change, especially when it relates to COVID as well? And of course, you have 2 minutes.
The county has been abysmal on its hiring of giving jobs to minority and women-owned business. Abysmal. I commend Commissioner Ellis for having the tenacity to get in the disparity, which you were talking about. The feasibility study is called the disparity study. It took 3 Democrat commissioners to actually pass that. Before that, the Republican Commissioner Court voted it down and belittled his attempt to get it done. Now that we've got a study, the study says that 3.4% of all the county contracts go to women-owned businesses. 3.4%. Think about that. 9% go to minority contractors as a whole. That is just abysmal. And so, like I said earlier, it's in my blood. We believed in this in the city of Houston. The city of Houston has a good program. We need to institute that same type of program with changes, modifications. But it's going to take a commissioner like me who knows how to get the job done and has done it before. I believe in diversity. I believe we need to spread these contracts around, and the same people should not be getting these contracts year after year after year. That's been happening under the past commissioner's court and under the current county commissioner. So I believe in it. It will help us rebuild after the economic downturn and COVID. And there's a lot of contracts out there, like Tom said, a lot of construction contracts, a lot of this flood mitigation money. We need to make sure that everybody benefits, both minority and women-owned businesses.
Going into the next question, Michael, if you can address to us, like what would be your top 1 to 3 priorities? Like what will you hit the ground running the first 100 days you would want to see accomplished should you be elected commissioner for Precinct 3?
Miya, there are so many. I mean, before COVID and the economic downturn, flood mitigation, transportation system, reducing congestion, our healthcare system. We have over 50% of the clients or patients that go to Harris County Health and the clinics, over 50% don't have health insurance. Over 20% of the entire population of Harris County don't have health insurance. A lot of these are women and families that have kids. And so we need to do everything we can to fix that. Flood mitigation obviously is up there toward the top. because if we don't get it right, businesses aren't going to move here. I'm already talking to businesses out in the energy corridor that said they could not get people to move here after Harvey. So we need to fix flooding and then getting through this pandemic safely. You know, we're already seeing a rise in some countries and in some states going into the fall. We need to do everything we can to protect ourselves, wear masks, help keep businesses open. My little brother's as a small business owner. He's got 3 restaurants. I see how he's suffering. He's making it through it, but you also see so many businesses closing. 8% right now, it's 8 to 9% unemployment. We need to help those unemployed get upskilling, new training through our community colleges, and I will focus on that. So it's not one issue. There are so many issues. One of the major things I'll do if I get elected, I'll put a team together that looks like the precinct, that knows the precinct, that can help address all these issues from Gulfton to Katy, all the way to the Waller County line, back to the Gallery area. It's a big precinct, 1.3 million people, and I've got the experience to make a difference.
Yeah, it is a big precinct indeed. And Tom, what would be your 1 to 3 priorities, like the first 100 days? What would you be focused on getting accomplished?
It is a big precinct. I mean, I give out statistics. I'll try not to get down the weeds. 75% of Harris County Precinct 3 is unincorporated. There's 451 square miles. So we have to pay attention. You got to understand how to work with MUDs. You got to understand how to work with other cities. You got to understand how to work with the city of Houston. So it's important that we focus on those. I've been talking for the last 10 months on safe neighborhoods, infrastructure, and lower taxes. And in my first 180 days, we're going to focus on infrastructure because I think that's going to help our businesses come out of the COVID shutdowns. If we can get projects on the street, if we can connect people with jobs like Dakin, that's going to be important. So infrastructure is going to be a big part of what we focus on because that's something tangible. That's something immediate. We're not going into a 2-year plan. We're going to get projects on the road so that 100,000 people can get to work immediately. That's so important if we're going to come out of this with any kind of urgency and well-defined road. And the other thing I would say is safety. You know, I worry about the single mom that's in an underserved neighborhood, and many exist within Precinct 3, that has to be fearful because the crime rate is up 41%. That's just unacceptable. And when there's conversation at Commissioner's Court to do away with the constable program, there needs to be an advocate for that. That's why the Houston Police Officers Union has endorsed me. The Harris County deputies have endorsed me, Constable Heap, Constable Herman, because they know I'm committed to safe neighborhoods. And that's important too, as we come out, we open up our businesses and we make sure that they do that in not only a safe way, but a crime-free way.
All right, gentlemen, we have a few more minutes, and if anybody has any additional questions, please feel free to drop it on the chat box. But I wanted to ask a question about the fact that if you talk to political pundits, Precinct 3 is a very tight race. It's anyone's game. It's very competitive, and we don't have straight ticket voting this year, which means for folks who are running in the local races, you know, everybody cares about the president or the Senate race, have to win over informed, educated voters who are perhaps willing to cross party lines to vote for you, the person, because it's a big ballot and we got to find you. So Tom, you're a Republican, Michael, you're a Democrat. Tell me about, we all know the standard Democratic and Republican positions on a whole host of issues, but how are you reaching across the aisle to get that informed, likely female voter who's willing to cross over even though they may vote for the opposing person at the top of the ticket? We'll start with you, Tom.
It was just a little over a week ago that a group of ladies, leaders, organized Women for Ramsey. And when you went into that room, it covered the complete spectrum of Democrat, Republican, small business leaders in large companies. So I represent that person that can bring people together. I've done it for 25 years. I have a history of being able to work with different groups. When you're endorsed by the Baptist Ministers Association, which is the largest and oldest Black Ministers Association in Harris County, they don't normally endorse a Republican. When the Houston Chronicle endorses you for the reasons that they did, that's kind of an indication that, well, Tom is going to bring that fairness, that approach that is needed. I think is so important now in these times. It's interesting, when I was at the polls yesterday, Miya, the lines were long. People were excited. They were just so glad to be having an opportunity to vote. And I have a suspicion that when you get down ballot, and by the way, to find Tom Ramsey, you're going to have to go to the very bottom of the ballot. I tell people to start at the bottom and work your way up. But it gets less partisan. And that's the good news. It's less partisan. What are the things that are important to that individual? They can weigh Michael, they can weigh Tom, and then they can decide. So I'm encouraged by the number of folks, the different folks that I've seen on the campaign trail, and look forward to many more days of voting in the coming weeks.
And same question to you, Michael. You're a Democrat, Tom's a Republican. Both of you need members of the other party probably to win in Precinct 3. So what are you doing? What are your messaging for people who may not vote Democratic for president?
I talk a lot about my experience back at the city of Houston. Bill White's administration was seen as one that encompassed all views. And I was part of that. I was part of the every single day. Miya, you were down there. We had to work with the other people on the other side of the aisle of different political parties to get the job done, and we did it. And our votes were almost all 10 votes plus votes. We listened and we incorporated the views of others. I will do the same if I'm county commissioner. We have to, Tom and I have to go through this partisan dance where you trying to get elected on, he's a Republican, I'm a Democrat. But when I walk in the door, if I get elected, I take off that partisan cloak, if you want to call it that, and get the job done. Roads, bridges, floodings, healthcare, they're not Democrat or Republican issues. And I don't act like that if I get elected. One thing Tom was talking about crime. The crime rate has gone up because mainly one issue. It's a COVID and economic downturn, and it is domestic violence. The reason that the crime rate has gone up. I called for the county commission to fully fund Houston Area Women's Center to around $2 million. They did that. We need to do everything we can to help stop this domestic violence and stop those predators who are using this to prey on women and kids. It's just not right, and we need to do everything we can to stop it.
Thank you, Michael. And then we have a question from Juliet I will read, and then we'll go to 1-minute closing statements. Juliet says, will either candidate be doing anything to expand internet availability to all citizens now that so much of our world, including this one, and Zoom school, and all that good stuff are internet-based? Michael?
The county recently, they used CARES Act. I think it was $32 million. I might be wrong on that. To increase connectivity for mainly kids. We need to do more of that. When I was at the city of Houston, we tried to do, I think it was Yahoo. We had a contract with Yahoo to try to spread Wi-Fi throughout the city. It is a tough and it's very expensive. They ended up pulling out of it. They had to pay us money, and we built hotspots in Gulfton and other areas that lack the high connectivity. So I think we need to look at those areas that don't have it, Gulfton, A-Leaf, et cetera, and see what we can do on piece-by-piece basis, because it is a very expensive endeavor, and we're gonna have to get the private sector in to do it. But I'm glad what the county did with that I think it's $32 million with CARES Act money.
All right, thank you so much, Michael. Tom, same question about internet availability and increasing it. If there's anything a county commissioner can do at that level.
Yeah, I think you can. You could be an advocate. I think there can be public-private partnerships, and I certainly think that we can look at those types of relationships. I know that during the shutdown, we've exposed some severe weaknesses within our school districts in terms of them being able to do things virtually. I think businesses even have found out what they need to do. What I'm a bit encouraged about for our businesses is they figured out how to keep 25, 30, 40% of their employees working at home, which is better on our transportation system, better on a lot of different things. So there is great business reasons why we need to enhance our capabilities when it comes to internet and our abilities to do that, not only in education, but also within our business community. So I think it's just ripe. I've done public-private partnerships before, worked for over 20 counties, over 50 cities in Texas. I understand what other cities are doing. I'll bring that public-private partnership to Harris County Commissioner Precinct 3.
Great, thank you so much. I think we will wrap up with 1-minute closing statements from each person, and we will start with Tom in alternating order. So Tom, you have 1 minute. Tell us how great you are.
Maya, thank you for hosting today, for emceeing, and thank to the Greater Houston Women's Chamber. I appreciate y'all putting this on. I think Michael and I both enjoy getting out and having a conversation. It's so hard during this campaign. You really can't have the conversations that you'd like to. So we've had very rare opportunities to get and get in front of folks and have a conversation. So thank you. I think you could see, I think from our conversation, I'm the pro-business, pro-chamber candidate. You just look at the endorsements, the C Club, the Houston Realty Business Coalition. You look at the Houston area realtors. You look at the people that have saw we need somebody paying attention to our businesses, and that's my commitment, particularly women-owned businesses. I have a great track record. I think I said that earlier in terms of working with the businesses. I know how to do that. I will listen to the leaders in the communities, not just Republican leaders, but Cindy Clifford and Jackie Bailey and others that can give us insight into how we can give more opportunities to our women-owned business. I look forward to focusing, when I become commissioner, on safe neighborhoods, on infrastructure, and on lower taxes. Those are the things that are going to allow us to get things back as quickly as possible. Thank you for your encouragement up to this point. I look forward to serving you as commissioner. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Tom. Michael, now it's your turn to tell us what makes you so great.
I have the experience to make a difference. I help manage the 4th largest city in the country with a $2 billion budget and over 20,000 employees. I have been uniquely qualified to make a difference. If you just look at this disparity state, I want to go back to that. Currently, 3% of the contracts, county contracts, go to women-owned businesses. The Greater Houston Women's Chamber of Commerce, part of y'all's mission is to help promote women's businesses. It would not have happened unless there was a changeover in Commissioner's Court. It still won't happen unless you're like me, County Commissioner, because I know how to do that. We did it at the City of Houston. I believe in diversity. I believe in the diversity. I'm proud of the diversity we have in Precinct 3 in the county. And if elected County Commissioner, I'll shine a light on that diversity we have and celebrate it. Thank y'all for hosting this. I'd be honored to have people who are watching. I'd be honored to have your vote for County Commissioner. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Tom and Michael. I think, as I said from the outset, we clearly have 2 qualified candidates, lucky to have either one of them serving all of us in Precinct 3. And I'm sure the Women's Chamber will be holding that person's feet to the fire to make sure they deliver on their promises, whoever wins. I will turn the thing over back now to Juliet and all the other great women on the call. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Maya. And I will say, I am one of those women who are going to hold your feet to the fire. I am a female entrepreneur, business owner with healthcare locations in Precinct 3. So it was very interesting to hear your points of view, and I very much appreciate, and I know that everyone on this call today appreciates you taking the time to be with us and to talk about your priorities. It sure helps us to understand how to vote and what really matters. I'm also just going to take this minute to remind everyone to get out and vote. It's so important. And I wouldn't be doing my job if I didn't also remind you one more time that if you're on this call and you're not a part of the Women's Chamber, and even if you are, please come visit us at ghwcc.org. We have a calendar of events and a lot of different committee meetings. We would love to have you be part of this. And one more big thank you to Mr. Moore and Mr. Ramsey and Maya for holding this fantastic debate. Thank you very much.
Thank you, everybody. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Take care,
See
everyone.
you, Tom.
See ya.